The fog that rolled off the Atlantic was thick, acidic, and yellow. It clung to the gleaming spires of the Sector 7 skyline, but down in the industrial fringe, the buffer zone between the habitation blocks and the true wasteland, it tasted like sulfur. Paul adjusted his respirator. He was crouched behind a rusted shipping container, watching the perimeter fence of the water purification plant. Beside him, Marcus, the former engineer, was bypassing the magnetic lock on a service gate. 30 seconds, Marcus whispered. His hands, calloused and scarred from years of manual labor before the UBW, moved with precision. The drone patrol is on a loop. We have a window. They weren't breaking in to sabotage. They were breaking in to steal discard. The plant automatically ejected Grade B filtration canisters, filters that were 90% effective but didn't meet the 99.9% purity standards of the elite sectors. To the resistance, those canisters meant life in the wilderness. "Got it," Marcus hissed. The gate slid open. They moved quickly, grabbing 4 heavy canisters from the disposal chute and dragging them into the shadows. They buried them under a pile of bioslag, marking the spot with a specific pattern of stones. "That's the last of it," Paul said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Water filters, solar cells, and the dried seeds. We have 3 caches now along the northern escape route." "It won't be enough," Marcus said grimly, standing up. He looked older tonight. The stress of living a double life was carving deep lines into his face. "I heard chatter on the shortwave. Region 5 has already started the Purification Protocols. They aren't just arresting believers anymore, Paul. They're erasing them." "Disappeared?" Paul asked. "Vaporized," Marcus corrected, "or sent to the biolabs for integration testing. They want to know why we resist. They think it's a genetic defect." The next morning, the holographic screens in the city square were blood red. The charismatic leader, the false prophet, was not smiling today. His face was stern, like a disappointed father. "We have offered you paradise," the leader's voice boomed, echoing off the glass canyons. "We have rebuilt the world from the ashes of the old wars. We have conquered hunger. We have conquered the climate. But we cannot conquer the future while we are anchored to the past." The image shifted to show grainy footage of a hater, a man holding a Bible, shouting on a street corner. "There is a cancer in our midst," the leader continued. "A mental pathogen. Those who cling to the divisive myths of the Bible are not just annoying, they are dangerous. They are vibrating at a frequency that disrupts the global harmony. They are the blockage in our collective evolution." Paul watched from the window of the sanitation transport where Sarah was working. She was scrubbing graffiti off a wall, graffiti that read, "Jesus saves." "Did you hear him?" Sarah asked, not looking up from her work. "He called us a pathogen." "He's preparing the public," Paul said quietly. "Dehumanize the enemy. That way, when the purge happens, the neighbors won't feel guilty. They'll feel relieved." Suddenly, a siren cut through the ambient hum of the city. It was a Priority 1 alarm, the sound of a containment raid. Paul's comms link buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. One word: run. Paul grabbed Sarah's arm. "Leave the scrubber, now." They ducked into an alleyway just as a transport carrier, a black, sleek VTOL aircraft, descended rapidly toward the habitation block where Marcus lived. They watched from the shadows as the carrier landed on the roof of Marcus's building. Armored peacekeepers rappelled down the side, blasting through the windows of the 40th floor. There was no gunfire, just the flash of stun grenades and the blue arc of electro whips. Moments later, a net was hoisted up to the aircraft. Inside, a figure struggled. Even from this distance, Paul recognized Marcus's jacket. "Marcus!" Sarah gasped, stepping forward. Paul pulled her back, slamming her against the brick wall. "No, you can't help him. If the biometrics scan you, we're both dead." They watched in helpless silence as the carrier lifted off, carrying their friend and the architect of their escape route into the yellow sky. That night, the resistance cell was smaller. The twins were crying. Alara sat in stunned silence. They met in the basement of an abandoned automated factory, deep in the dead zone where the AI sensors were blinded by radiation leaks from the old wars. He knew the routes, Paul said, his voice hollow. He knew where the caches were. "Will he talk?" one of the twins asked. "They don't need him to talk," Paul said. "They have neural extractors. They can pull the memories right out of his cortex." "Then the caches are compromised," Sarah said. "We have to move them." "We can't," Paul said. "If we go back there now, we're walking into a trap. We have to assume those supplies are gone." Despair settled over the group. Without supplies, the wilderness was a death sentence. The radiation, the toxic water, the genetically modified predators. It was impossible to survive without tech. "Then we stay?" Alara asked. "We wait for them to come for us?" "No," Paul said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his watch, the one containing the digital Bible. "We don't rely on the caches. We rely on the promise." He projected a small hologram from the watch onto the dirty floor. It was a map of the 10 regions, but overlaying the map were hundreds of tiny, glowing dots. "What is this?" Sarah asked. "I've been tracking the verbal abuse flags in the ministry database," Paul explained. "Before they locked me out. Each dot is a reported incident of someone speaking about Jesus." He zoomed out. The dots weren't just in Region 3. They were everywhere. Region 7, Asia. Region 1, Europe. Even Region 10, Antarctica. "Look at the pattern," Paul said. "They are arresting us, disappearing us, silencing us. But the dots are multiplying." He pointed to a cluster of lights in the heavily guarded elite sector. "Even in the palace of the beast," Paul whispered. "People are waking up. The angel is flying. The message is spreading without the internet, without preachers. It's supernatural." "So we aren't alone," Sarah whispered. "We are never alone," Paul said. Revelation 18 says, "Come out of her, my people." It doesn't say, "Come out and check your supply list." It just says, "Come out." The decision was made. They would leave the city not when they were fully prepared, but when the Spirit moved them. Paul and Sarah walked back toward the sector boundary. The curfew drones were active, scanning the streets with green lasers. They took the long way, through the sewers of the old city that lay beneath the new foundations. The air was damp and smelled of decay, but it was safer than the streets. "I'm scared, Paul," Sarah admitted, her voice echoing in the tunnel. "Marcus was the strong one. He knew how to build things. I'm just a teacher. You're an archivist. How do we survive out there?" Paul stopped. He shone his flashlight on the tunnel wall. Someone had scratched something into the wet concrete. It looked fresh. "The just shall live by faith." Paul touched the letters. "We aren't going out there to survive, Sarah. We're going out there to be sustained." He looked at her. In the harsh light of the flashlight, her face was dirty and tired, but her eyes held a resolve that hadn't been there a year ago. "The mandate is coming," Paul said. "The oath. I saw the timeline in Marcus's notes before he was taken. 2073. Next year." "Then we have a year," Sarah said. "Less," Paul corrected. "Once they process Marcus, the timeline speeds up. They know there's a resistance now. They know we're organized." Above them, the rumble of the maglev trains shook the sewer ceiling. The city was waking up, a machine that never slept, grinding souls into compliance. "We need to find the others," Paul said, moving forward. "We need to get them ready. When the order comes to take the oath, we run. And if they catch us, then we see the king sooner than expected," Paul said. They emerged from the sewer grate into the dim twilight of Sector 7. The billboard in the distance was still playing the leader's speech. Integration is peace. Separation is death. Paul took Sarah's hand. Separation is life, he whispered.